The Daily Bible in chronological order. New International Version Bible. To Gethsemane. Matthew chapter 26 verses 36 to 38. Mark chapter 14 verses 32 through 34. Luke chapter 22 verse 40. And John chapter 18 verse 1. On Wednesday night, when he had finished praying, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. On the other side, there was an olive grove, and he and his disciples went into it. They went to a place called Gethsemane. And Jesus said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death," he said to them. "Stay here and keep watch." Jesus prays in agony. Matthew chapter 26 verse 39, Mark chapter 14 verses 35 and 36, and Luke chapter 22 verses 41 through 45. He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. When he rose from prayer and went back to the disciples, he found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. Jesus prays a second time. Matthew chapter 26 verses 40 through 42. Mark chapter 14 verses 37 and 39 through 39. Luke chapter 22 verse 46. "Could you men not keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." Jesus prays a third time. Matthew chapter 26 verses 43 through 46. Mark chapter 14 verses 40 through 42. When he came back, he again found them sleeping, because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Judas betrays Jesus. Matthew chapter 26 verses 47 through 58. Mark chapter 14 verses 43 through 45. Luke chapter 22 verses 47 and 48. John chapter 18 verses 2 and 3. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place, because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So Judas came to the grove, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. And the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him away under guard." He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, "Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Rabbi," and kissed him. Disciples safely insured. John chapter 18 verses 4 through 9. Jesus, knowing all things was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he." Jesus said. Judas the traitor was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who is it you want?" They said, "Jesus of Nazareth." "I told you that I am he." Jesus answered, "If you are looking for me, then let these men go." This happened so that the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. "I have not lost one of those you gave me." Peter cuts off ear. Matthew chapter 26, verses 50b through 54. Mark chapter 14, verses 46 and 47. Luke chapter 22, verses 49 through 51. And John chapter 18, verses 10 and 11. The men seized Jesus and arrested him. When Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, "Lord, should we strike with our swords?" Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him. "For all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and who will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way, in this way?" But Jesus answered, "No more of this." And he touched the man's ear and healed him.